Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam,
Brother Yardan.
coming back at you with these precepts and another Monday Night Fire live stream, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Yahushua. A hearty shalom to you mighty men that go out there and labor and do the work of the Most High, presenting your body as a living sacrifice, enduring all things for the elect's sake, pushing this truth in the last days. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to the Aquath out there, holding it down, the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways, everybody that's diligent, keeping the commandments and abiding in the will of the Lord. We living in the last days. This is the end of the world, right? This is the end of the world. And we covering Genesis 9, the Table of Nations, and the Tower of Babel. We started with the second chapter. We went through all the way up to the 8th chapter over the past 2 weeks. We're going to pick right back up where we left off on the live stream, covering Genesis 9, the Table of Nations, and the Tower of Babel, right? So let's kick it off, right, with Genesis chapter 9 and 1.
Genesis chapter 9, verse 1. And it reads this.
Let me get it right here. I just need you.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. All right, there we go. All right, everybody in here.
Calm.
All right, con. All right, we back at it. Genesis chapter 9.
It's Genesis chapter 9, verse 1. And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth.
All right, put more people on the earth. Remember, everybody got destroyed during the flood. Everybody on the earth right now, you come from these three sons: Shem, Ham, or Japheth. All right, straight up. All right, you don't come from monkeys. You didn't come from apes. You came from Shem, Ham, or Japheth. Everybody that comes from Shem, you are classified as a Shemite or Shemitic. You know, you have the Japhetic people and the Hamitic people. All right.
And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. And to your land, so like your hand, are they delivered.
All right, so that's a reconfirmation that man is going to be the top of the food chain, right? You don't have cheetahs; they don't rule things. The ant is not running the earth. Man's going to run the earth, right? Constantly, right?
Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things.
Now that's what Christians, they'll say, well, the Lord said, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Is that talking about everything slugs move, you know, ants move? No, it's talking about clean meat. You know? Let me get a quick precept, right, in the book of Leviticus. All right, let's go to Leviticus 11 and 46. All right, let's see what he was talking about. All right, let's go to the book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and 46. It reads, This is the law of the beast, and of the fowls, and of every living creature that moveth in the waters, that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten. Because remember, during that time, Noah already took clean animals on the ark. Now, when these animals are taken off the ark, the Lord said you can eat every living thing that moves, but it has to be clean. All right? And it's really the first time when man is going to use these, put these canine teeth to use, man.
Yeah.
You know? You have certain teeth created in you strictly to tear apart meat, man. You know? And rip apart flesh. Oh, you got it.
I believe your front teeth are your incisors, and you don't really need that to or the incisors, they're not fit to tear apart meat, right? And you don't
Right.
really need your canines to eat up grass,
Right.
right? That's why when you look at certain animals, like the I think that Brontosaurus, one of them old, dinosaurs, they had nothing but like straight teeth, right? They had no sharp teeth, right? Because their teeth was specifically made to eat certain herbs and grasses. But when you have carnivores, they have nothing but sharp teeth,
Cons.
right? So, such as dogs, they're not meant to be eating grass all day. Now they can when they not feeling well, but their primary source is like other meats.
Cons. Salaki, I was trying to flip the camera, but I guess I can't. You got it.
We got a picture of.
Yeah, you can't flip it on StreamYard.
Okay, con.
Trying to bring up something.
Yeah, I was. I got some pictures of some lions, but
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm usually on a laptop, but I can't do it with the laptop to pull it up.
con.
So, but Jake, look it up. If Jake trying to figure out what does he mean lion with brother, go on Google. You kind of get into this, man. All right. So that's why the Lord gave man certain oh, there you have it right there.
Look like an animal that eat grass all day. That just eat a cabbage and in a banana smoothie.
And the thing is, when even in the King, we brought that out last week, that man is not going to, them creatures not going to use those anymore. It says the lion shall eat straw like an ox. Now, rather the Lord kind of changed the physiology of these animals and the anatomy of them, or he just kind of make them not use those things, that remains to be seen. So we back at it. Unless the brother has something.
Kind. Hey, like you were saying, you might change the anatomy of them lions. A lion teeth might look like this. Nobody really know, but see.
Yeah.
Hey, most I can do whatever. That's all we know. That's all we know.
That's right. So let's deal with it. Genesis chapter 9 and 4.
Genesis chapter 9, verse 4. The flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat.
Right? So you can't eat anything with blood. Right? And we brothers know that you can't have no rare steak, can't have no rare meat, can't have that pink because it got a little bit more juice. That's blood, brother. That's not juice. All right? I got quick precept after you.
All right, I got one after you.
No, go ahead.
All right, this is Leviticus chapter 17 verse 11. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your sins, for it is the blood that maketh an atonement for souls. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, no soul of you shall eat blood, neither shall any stranger that sojourneth among you eat blood. Right? So the Lord not dealing with that, man. Right? Blood is for the atonement of sins, not to be eaten, drinking, right, or used any other way, man. Right? So that's against the law from the beginning, right, in Genesis, and when Moses gave.
And it's a precept to prove that the law still exists even after Yahweh Shah. This is the book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 28. Right? Acts chapter 5, 15 and 28. Salaki, Acts chapter 15 and 28. It reads, for it seemed good to the Holy Spirit and to us to lay upon you no greater burden than these necessary things. That ye abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled, right? And from fornication, from which if ye keep yourselves, ye should do well, fare ye well. So that shows you that the law is forever, man. Because why would the apostles tell them not to eat blood? Because that goes back to the law, right? So you got to keep the law, all right?
I got one. Just bear with me. I believe it's Acts 27:33. Further proof that we can eat meats now. And while the day was coming on, while the day was coming on, Paul besought them all to take meat, saying, "This day is the 14th day that ye have tarried and continued fasting, having taken nothing. Wherefore I pray you to take some meat, for this is for your health. For there shall not an hair fall from your head of any of you." So they actually ate meat back then. And Paul said, "Be followers of me, as I am a Yahweh Shai." So a lot of doctrines come about saying you have to be vegan. Well, are you going to tell Paul he has to be vegan? Would you really tell Paul that he has to be a vegetarian? Nobody really walking up to Paul and saying, "Paul, you going off. You're going to get on you. You're going to bring out the laws, statutes, commandments, go to the so-called Old Testament and break it down."
This 1 Samuel chapter 14 and verse 31. Right? 1 Samuel chapter 14. Now this after, remember Saul, when you read this account, Saul made a wicked oath, saying, "Look, nobody can eat till I kill a Philistine, lest I be avenged of my enemies." Right? When you read this account, Jonathan, he found the honey, eyes were enlightened. Right? That's twofold. But let's see what else happened. Verse 31. 1 Samuel 14:31. And they smote the Philistines that day from Michmash to Aijalon, Salakia, and the people were very faint. And the people flew upon the spoil and took sheep and oxen and calves, that's all clean meats, right? And slew them on the ground, and the people did eat them with the blood. Then they told Saul, because they were so hungry, they don't have time to cook. They said, "Look, we gotta eat." You know? If you starve and you go to a restaurant, they throw that meat at you. Sometimes, look, hey, you gotta check it. You can't say, "Well, I'm so hungry. Look, I just want to eat it." No, brother, they gotta make it well done. You know? It says, and they told Saul, saying, "Behold, the people sin against the Lord, and that they eat with the blood." And he said, "Ye have transgressed. Roll a great stone unto me this day." So even in Acts chapter 15, showing you that eating food with blood is a sin, right? And they got the in Genesis 25. Oh, you got it, Orion.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 26, right? And verse 7. There came unto him a woman having alabaster box, a very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. So straight like that, man. Our Lord and Savior sat at meat, right? Our Lord and Savior kept the law, statutes, and commandments, right? And I'm gonna link that up with John, right? Chapter 4, right, in verse 30. And they went out of the city and came unto him. And in the meanwhile, his disciples prayed, saying, "Master, eat." But he said unto them, "I have meat to eat that ye know not of." Right? So his disciples was eating meat. Hamashiach was eating meat, right? And you got Paul eating meat, man. Right? So you got all throughout the whole scriptures from Genesis, right, to the New Testament, right, of us eating meat. Right? So you can't come up with these strange doctrines, man. Right? Saying we're not supposed to eat meat, right? You can't eat the meat no more. How you gonna keep the Passover? Well, you gotta keep the Passover, man, forever in the kingdom. And you have to eat meat, right? Let me get that real fast. It's the book of Exodus, right? Chapter 12. I'm gonna start at 6. I'm gonna start at 9. Eat not of it raw, nor sudden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with his appearance thereof. Jump into verse 14, right? Say, eat not of it raw, right? Don't eat it raw, uncooked. Don't eat it with blood all in it, right? Verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. Right? So you gotta keep the Passover forever. How did the Lord tell you to do it? To cook it, man, right? And roast it with fire, no blood.
This 1 Timothy chapter 4:1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. You have actual demons that the Lord, a seducing spirit is a demon, right? It's not a thing of air, it's not an evil thought, it's a demon that comes down from the left hand side and breaks into your house, your mind, and seduces you and causes you to see things in this Bible that's not there, or believe things that's not true. Those are actual spirits, right? It says speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with the hot iron. Here go some of the doctrines. Forbidding to marry. You got brothers that say if you get married, you wicked, man. Right? You got a wife that's off, right? Yahweh Shai didn't have a wife. You got a wife that's wicked. You got brothers saying you can't marry like these Catholic priests. And commanding to abstain from meats, which the Most High have created to be received. So the Lord made meats not to throw them away, but you gotta receive. That's their purpose, right? To be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. For every creature of the Most High is good. That's talking about every clean creature. A lamb, that's good, man. I had some curry goat last week. Hey, I think it's better than lamb. You know? Hey, I had a bison before, right? Bison goes down, you know, beef, turkey. Hey, every creature is good, man. Especially Jake, put that seasoning on it, man. You get up,
That's right.
right? And nothing to be refused. So if a brother offer you lamb, hey, look, hey, brother, eat it, brother. You know? The Lord said, don't refuse. If it be received with thanksgiving, for it is sanctified by the word of God and prayer. Meaning the Lord declared this animal clean. He sanctified the lamb. He sanctified the sheep. He's told Noah these meats are sanctified, man, by the word, by Yahweh Shai, man. You know?
That's right. That's right. You got some y'all done?
Like your brother said, I'm going off. Lamb is not better than goat. Well, brother, you gotta get that goat curry, brother. Curry goat.
Yeah.
Good.
That's to be determined.
To be determined. Gotta get to it.
You got some y'all done?
Kind of breaking up.
Salaki. I said you got something.
Lou,
You can hear me? You can hear me?
can I hear you?
I
A
said
little.
you got something.
Gone. This Luke chapter 22, verse 7. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. And he sent Peter and John, saying, Go and prepare us the Passover that we may eat. So they ate the Passover. Simply put it, you know, they ate lamb. Even Yahweh Shai.
They ate meat.
Straight like that. Right. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 22, and verse 3. It says, I'm gonna start at verse 1. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 22, and verse 1. And the Mashiach answered and said unto them again, and spake unto them again by parables, and said, The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king which made a marriage for his son. Right? Yahweh by Yahweh Shai, right? Verse 3. And sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Right? You got rebellious Jake, right? Verse 4. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden. Right? So what's the marriage? Right? Us being bidden back, right, to Yahweh Shai. Right? The marriage, us getting beamed up, right? It says, again, he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner. So the Lord and the wedding, the Lord got a dinner prepared. Now that's not physical. That's not talking about as soon as you get in the church, you're gonna be eating lamb, right? Chicken. That's not it's not damn physical, man. Right? It's not a physical garnished table, man. These are the good things that our Father has for us in the kingdom. He said again, right? He sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen. So these are the things referred to as being bidden unto the marriage, everlasting life, righteousness, the kingdom. My oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready, come unto the marriage. I mean, everything is ready, man. So the kingdom of heaven is like an oxen's, fatlings, right? Good beast that's eaten, man. right? So you can't get around that, man. Coming from Yahweh Shai himself.
I got another quick one real quick. This is Sirach chapter 37 and 29. Be not unsatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meat. You can have your meat, but you can't be too greedy upon it. You're trying to eat 8 burgers. Brother, you know what's going to happen to you. All right? That's not your lot. Right? Even spiritual meat. Don't be too greedy trying to break down all of these dark sayings and parables in a damn week, brother, or a day. Right? You're going to bug out. You get spiritual heartburn, man. Spiritual nausea. Right? It says, by surfeiting have many perished. A lot of brothers fall out the truth because they try to get too deep. Right? But he that taketh heed prolongeth his life. Brothers that's been in this thing for a minute, they kind of know when to eat, when it's time to kind of relax, when it's time to eat some more meat. Let me try to drink some water, wash it down. Hey, that's how you enduring this thing. You know? Is that something else?
And that's a good point that the brother brought out, because you can't be eating too much, right? This is not a thing where you try to read the Bible in a week, because the whole point of reading the Bible is to understand it. You know, me myself, if I read something, I may read a chapter twice before I go to the next one, just so I can have the names down packed, just so I can know what's going on. Because if I read it and something or a name or a person is talked about 3 chapters up and I don't know that name, it's like I'm just slowing myself up just to read it all over again.
Yeah, you shouldn't be reading just to read. You gotta read and you should want to know what's going on in every single chapter if you can, right? So you might not remember, at least, you know, put in the energy and an effort to know what you're reading, right? You're not going to remember everything, but just, you know, go the extra step for the Most High, you know?
Like I always tell brothers, man, you got to look up places. You got to look up words. You know what I'm saying? You got to dive into it. You may go into the commentary. You may go into the Greek, the Hebrew. Hey, sometimes it may take me like 20 minutes. I've been in 1 chapter, man. You just in it. You might only get like, you might be in it for reading for like an hour. You might cover 7 chapters because you might be into everything, man. You get into break. You might end up looking up the family tree, King David.
Yeah.
You know, who's the son of David? Okay, Nathan. So you want to kind of get it. You want to fall in love with this thing, man. Like the brother said, don't just open it up. Speed race, man. There's no what's the word? There's no deadline, man. In this thing, it's not like a book report. You got 1 month. The Most I said you got 1 month. You came into the truth. You got 30 days. The Lord never said that, man. You got liberty in this thing, man. It's a race, but it's not to the swift. You know. So, brother, got something else? Brother put a good precept, Sirach 31 and 23. Whoso is liberal of his meat, men shall speak well of him. So it's a good report. Housekeeping will be believed. So certain brothers, they share their meat, huh? They go into the breakdowns, the parables, the dark sayings. And that brother, he got a good housekeeping. That's a good brother right there. Some brothers, they're nigger to their meat. You know, all of the breakdowns, they keep it to themselves. All right? Come on, brother. Don't be a niggard of your meat, like the Lord tell you.
Hey, the Most High provided all the meat. We just read in Matthew 22, right in the Psalms, you know?
Right.
So, and we always speak well of him.
Yeah. And the Lord said he likened unto a housekeeper, man. In Matthew chapter 13, which bring forth out of his treasure good new things and old. Right? So we can go back to that.
Let me get one more. Right? Just to further drive this point home. Right? It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 9 and verse 1. Wisdom hath builded her house. She hath hewed out her 7 pillars. Right? And wisdom, and 7 is a number of completion, meaning it's founded on complete ground, man. You can't go wrong with wisdom. She hath killed her beast. She hath mingled her wine. She hath also furnished her table, right? And that's that wisdom, and that's linking right up with Matthew, the 22nd chapter. Everything is getting ready for the marriage. Everything is being built. Everything is being killed. We got the table, right? We got the fatlings. We got everything furnished and ready for the marriage. She hath killed her beast, right? And the Lord not gonna name every single clean beast. You have to have discernment, like we bringing out. So when it says that in the book of Genesis, with the understanding of knowing the law, you have to know these things. She have killed her beast, she have mangled her wine, and she have furnished her table. She have sent forth her maidens. She cried upon the highest places of the city. You know, straight like that.
All right. So let's go back to the book, and we brought all this out. Got a spirit had to just go into it. It'd be many breakdowns within the breakdown, man. All right, that's a quick cold cut inside of an in-depth breakdown. All right. Yeah, you can eat meat. Noah ate meat, man. All right.
Hey, and I was gonna say, slipped my mind. Most I took it away.
Right. We're back at it. Let's go back to Genesis 9 and 4.
Oh, I was gonna say this, and damn, Slacky. Thought I had it again.
That's all right. Back.
Damn.
Yeah. Most I say you're not thinking about it today. All right, it's Genesis 9 and 4. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat.
Right.
And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man.
Right. What does that mean? And if you slay somebody, right? Even in verse 6, 8, the Lord wants to slay you by man, right? And surely your blood, like and surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require, and at the hand of man. So even in the ancient times, if animals killed man, the Lord got right. That's what it means, at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man. Right? It says, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. All right. So let's go to let me get Exodus chapter 21.
Y'all hear that crackling?
Con.
So this Exodus chapter 21 and verse 28, right? It reads, here's the law. If a man gore an ox, it's like if an ox gore a man or a woman that they die, then the ox shall be surely stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be quit. See that? So if an ox is going a rampage and start goring people with his horns and stabbing people through, then took down 3 people in Mount Hebron, and he got to catch that ox, man. They may set up a trap like Apocalypto, or dig a hole, he fall in a hole, and they got to stone that ox, man. Right? Now the owner, look, he should be quit, meaning he don't have to pay a fine. All right. But if because sometimes you may have a wild animal that just go on a rampage, man, and you may not have no control over that. It may be a new thing. It says, but if the ox were wont to push with his horn in time past, then you may have an ox that had a reputation of causing hell on the loose, man. He done stabbed 3 people. He done stabbed, 1 guy before, right? It says, and it has been testified to the owner. I mean, they said, look, your ox, he keep going off. You got to lock him up. And he has not kept him in, right? The owner said, I don't know what you're talking about. My ox is a good ox. But that he hath killed a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and his owner shall be put to death. You see that? If you got a wild ox that go out there killing people, and you've been warned that your ox goes bananas, hey, you're going to be responsible for that man's life, man. You're going to get put to death. Like, if they do that now, if you got like a wild lion, and your wild lion kills somebody, you going to jail. You can't say that's the lion's fault. Brother, you should have had the lion in a secure place, man. That's what it's going into in Genesis chapter 9. You got it, Yardan.
You held accountable to all your possessions. Like if I have a car and I don't get a maintenance or a checkup, which is, I believe is a law, and then something happened, my brakes, don't work, and I kill somebody, I got to be held responsible. I can't say, well, it wasn't my fault, the car did it. I knew about it, right? I had prior knowledge that my car was messing up and slipping up, right? Similar with the animals. That's why, like you said, a lot of people with animals, they always get paid or they have to go through the jail, whatever the case may be, whatever Esau got now. And I want to get out a quick precept. This book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 10.
Okay.
It's like here. Yeah, 12 and 10. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Right? So if you have a beast, you gotta, guard his life and kind of, you gotta have a kind heart towards your beast, And if your
Right.
beast is acting up and acting all crazy, you might have to pull an old yeller, I believe that's the old movie where they killed that dog. What I'm thinking of. Okay.
So
Huh?
I believe that's it. I'm not too sure.
Okay.
You talking about when they took him in the woods and shot him?
Yeah.
And they had a movie called Sounder too. We had to read that when we was young. That this dog Sounder and Old Yeller, they both kind of gave up the ghost.
The boy gave up the ghost?
No, the dog. He might have crawled in the hole and died or something like that. Right? But this Exodus chapter 21 and 29. 30. Because we read that if a man has an ox and the ox kills somebody, the man got to get put to death, right? But the man can kind of escape out of this thing if the man can cover his life with money, right? This Exodus chapter 21 and 30. If there be laid on him a sum of money, then he shall give for the ransom of his life whatsoever is laid upon him, right? Whether he have gored a son or have gored a daughter, according to this judgment shall it be done unto him. Meaning, if Uriah got an ox and the ox killed my son, hey, we may be merciful. We may say, look, Uriah, we tried to warn you, but maybe you didn't know. And Uriah, he may say, look, I apologize. He may be sincere. We say, look, Uriah, we want 100 shekels of silver, 300 shekels of silver. Now, Uriah, you got to come up with that dough. We may say you got till next week to come up with the bread. Now, if Uriah don't come up with the bread in time, he got to get put to death. But if he come up with the bread, then look, he can live. But he got to make sure his next ox he keeping in line. So it's like Noah knew that, Shem knew that, all of the sons of God and even the other nations, they were all regulated by these laws on even how to deal with cattle and animals, man. Laws cover everything. You got to hear it done.
Yeah, that's a righteous law. And for those who haven't heard of the book, Old Yeller has been and injured by a wolf because the Old Yeller's exposure to rabies and the fact that he is now a threat to the family as a result of as a result, the older son is forced to shoot him and kill Old Yeller. This little backstory.
Yeah. Like somebody said, Cujo came out back in the day.
I'm too young for that.
Let me get this real quick. This Exodus chapter 21, still dealing with the law in Genesis 9. These are the statutes behind the law in Genesis 9. Exodus chapter 22 and 21 and 31. Still dealing with this ox. Whether he have gored a son or have gored a daughter, according to this judgment shall it be done unto him. If the ox shall push a manservant, check this out, or a maidservant, he shall give unto their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. So a slave had a different price value. The price value of a slave was 30 shekels of silver. How much did Judas betray Yahweh for? 30 shekels for the price of a slave. That's how Judas looked at the Lord, man. Lord was doing all the miracles, raising the dead, and all these people. Hey, Judas said, I'm going to turn you in for the price of a slave, man. Man, you ain't nothing, man. And I believe that's equivalent to around $600. So if you had an ox that killed a slave, hey, you got to pay for that slave, man, so you can buy another one. So we can go back to let's brother has some Genesis chapter 9. All right, we can read 5 again, Baba Kashar.
This is Genesis chapter 9, verse 5. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it.
Right.
It's like here. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother, will I require the life of man.
Right.
Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man.
So these are laws even before Moses. Thou shalt not kill. Right. If you kill a man, then you got to get put to death. And we went into the different laws of murder, revengers of blood, and things of that nature in Genesis, the 4th chapter. Right. You got it.
Verse 7. And you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein.
Right.
And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seeds after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth.
So that's another covenant, right, that the Lord made, that he wouldn't destroy man by a flood of water anymore. All right.
And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I made between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth.
Right. So that's the rainbow. That the token is a sign. You see that word token in the Bible? It means a sign. The proof of this covenant being established is the Lord. The Lord already has a bow in the heavens. It's above his throne. Right. Let me get that in the book of Revelation 4. I believe that's 4 and 3. The Lord has a bow above his throne. The Lord said, I'm going to take that bow from my throne and make a representation of that on the earth. And he made that on the earth to symbolize the covenant from the throne with man. Right? Let me get that in the book of Revelation.
I got precept after you.
You said what, brother?
I said I got precept after you.
Come. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 4. I'll start at 2. Right? It reads, Immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. Who stood on the throne? The Most High. Right? And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine. To get that brown skin. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like an emerald. See, that's so above the throne of the Most High, he has a rainbow. You know, when you look it up, I believe Esau in school, the damn rainbow was created, right? You had a prism with this spectrum of light, and then this light. They're trying to figure out the works of the Lord, huh? Right? But that rainbow's up there above the throne of the Lord. The Lord said, I'm going to take that, and I'm going to put it on the earth as a physical sign to prove that I will never destroy the earth by water. You got it right.
That's right. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 43, and verse number 11. Look upon the rainbow and praise him that made it very beautiful. It is in the brightness thereof. It compasseth the heaven about with a glorious circle, and the hands of the Most High have bended it. Right? So that's that bow, man. Like we keep bringing out through the spirit. Right? So when people read that, they got to see that and understand that that's talking about the rainbow. The Lord bent it, and it's a big circle. Right? It's that bow.
Con, I got another quick precept. Right? Now, even, you know what the so-called white man done to the rainbow? Right? Now the so-called white man has turned the rainbow from the token that he will destroy man. And the Lord destroyed homosexuals during the time of the flood. Right? But them spirits back on the earth, they said we're going to take this rainbow and turn it to the symbol for homosexuality. Right? And you wonder why the Most High's wrath is abiding upon Babylon the Great, right? All right? This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1. And let's see.
28.
I was going to start at 26.
Okay, go
Right,
ahead.
this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1 and 26. It reads, and above the firmament, right, that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne. Right, this is Ezekiel 1 and 26. As the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above it. I mean, above upon it. And that's the Lord sitting on the throne, right? Verse 27. And I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain. Right? So was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of Yahweh. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. Right? So again, that up there in the spiritual realm, you have a rainbow. All right? And it was put in the firmament of the earth on the day of rain. You know? And then again, the so-called white man, like the brother said, he take that and turn it to the LGBTQ, damn pedophile. You can be a pedophile now. You know? You can be a tranny, you can be queer. We went into that on the Sabbath service. There's 46 different sexual orientations that a man can say that he is now. All right? So let's
Look,
go. Oh, you had something?
you know, it's like you're either a man or a woman. You don't, you're not birthed. I can't think of one, and I'm glad I can't. But you just know you're not birthed one of them 47 things.
Right.
You a man or a woman.
So let's go back to it. All right. So the Most High created the rainbow. Every time you look at the rainbow, you got to remember that, man. Right? There's no gold pot at the end of the rainbow. There's no leprechaun, no golden coins. It's a sign that the Lord wouldn't destroy man by the flood anymore. All right. So let's go back to that.
And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth.
Genesis 9 and 11.
Just like in Genesis chapter 9, verse 11. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth.
Right.
And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I made between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations.
Right.
I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh.
Right.
And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth.
Right.
And God said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant, which I have made, which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Verse 18. And the sons of Noah that went forth out of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Ham is the father of Canaan.
And we've done in-depth breakdowns on the table of nations before. All right. And we may do it again, but for sake of time, and for those who didn't know, Ham is the father of all of the so-called Africans. All right. Shem is the father of the Shemites, right? Like who? The Israelites. The Edomites are Semitic. The Ishmaelites are Semitic. The Moabites are Semitic. Ammonites are Semitic, man. Right? The Midianites. You have a lot of different nations If you come from Shem, then you one of the Semitic people. All right? And Japhet are your so-called Pacific Islanders, your Hawaiians, the people of Fiji, the Samoans, the ancient Mycenaeans, or the ancient Etruscans, the ancient Lombards. These are the different names given to them in the ancient times. All right? And I believe we've done that on the Cold Cuts channel. If you were to go to the Cold Cuts channel and look up the Table of Nations, right? Brothers went into that on the in-depth. All right? So we can go on. I want to clarify.
Verse 19. These are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread.
Right?
And Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard.
Right?
And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent.
Right? Hey,
And
sometimes, hey, why did Noah drink? A lot of people say the Lord should have dealt with Noah because he drank. Let's go to Proverbs 31. Right? Why was Noah drinking? Right? He saw everybody dead and died in the flood, man. You know? He was on that ark with all of them animals. His woman probably said, when we going to get off of this thing? Ham's talking about, are we done? Are we there yet? You know? You got to clean this up and the rain, and you got to deal with it, man. You need a drink. All right? Let me go to Proverbs chapter 31 real quick. All right? Let me go to Proverbs. But why did he do that? Well, look, brother, if you was in Noah's shoes, you might have needed to drink too, brother. All right? Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 4. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of the afflicted. It's not saying you can't drink. But if you're a king, hey, that shouldn't be the thing that you dabbling into, right? Anytime you got to be able to execute judgment, right? But give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. That's why Jake in captivity always drinking, man. Right? Brothers in the truth, brothers drink. Right? Brothers outside the truth. You got alcoholics in the world, man. Hey, Gad, man, the Gadites, they're the #1 alcoholics on the earth, man. Right? They have the highest alcoholism rate amongst all the tribes, man. Right? I believe they drink. I have to go to the stats, but a lot of them die from liver failure, man.
You said the Gadites?
Yeah, the Gadites. Why would the Gadites have a heavy heart, man? Because they got to go through days like so-called Columbus Day. We don't give a damn about Columbus Day. But they're constantly reminded that they once had this whole land. Now they don't got no more, man. You know? So the Lord said, give wine to those that be of a heavy heart. Let him drink and forget his poverty and remember his misery no more. All right?
I got it pulled up. This is AmericanAddictionCenters.org. All right, and it says consequences of alcohol abuse in Native American communities, so-called Native Americans. A recent analysis found that alcoholic liver disease is a major leading cause of death for Native Americans, with Gadites, all right? Like the brothers going into, they drinking because they lost everything, right? They lost everything. If you lose everything, tell me you're not going to drink a little, all right? You know, you're gonna lose your mind. You get all sad. You're gonna look for anything that try to escape you from reality. And drinking is one of the #1 ways to let your mind escape from reality. Because when you drink, everybody, they drink. Everybody drunks once. When you get drunk, you kind of lose your mind. You feel warped. Kind of talking to people, imaginary things. You're in a whole nother world. All right.
God. A lot of people. That's why you mentioned Yahweh Shai.
La'ah.
Yeah, that's why Yahweh shall drink. Now, a lot of people try to figure out why the Lord drink. Why would the Lord? Didn't he have work to do? Wasn't he the Son of Man? All right. Why would the Lord drink? Well, the Lord was going through it too, man. Let me go to Isaiah chapter 53. A lot of people think the Lord had it made when he was on the earth, man. All right. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 53. Now, the Lord had a high stress level. Then we read in Luke, I believe this was a few weeks ago, Luke chapter 22, that Yahweh was sweating blood, man. There's a I gotta find the exact name again. I can't remember the so-called scientific name. When you sweat blood, hematidrosis,
Yeah.
something like that, where the Lord was sweating blood because his stress level was so high. Right? Let me get Isaiah chapter 53 real quick. Right? You gotta imagine the life of being on that ark, man. All right. Isaiah chapter 53, right? And we break this down often. And verse 3. Isaiah chapter 53 and 3, it reads, he is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. Right? And we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised and we esteemed him not. See that? So the Lord said he's acquainted with grief, a man of sorrows. You look at Jake in the world now, you want to tell that these brothers are men of sorrow. They always laugh and having a good time. You know? He was a man of sorrow. He had to separate and pray all night by himself, man. Fast 40 days and 40 nights. Drinking, sweating blood, crying. You know? And the Lord was going through it, man. So that's why Yahweh did a lot of drinking. He wasn't a drunkard. And there you go, Ecclesiastes 1 and 18. For much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow too. So he was going through it, man. All right? Nobody said he was drunk. Jake, come on, brother. Nobody said the Lord was drunk. All right? But he was dealing with it.
They say that Sade song King of Sorrows is about Yahweh Shai.
See that? See that? Hey, people that's about to die back in World War I, man, they'll say, look, give me a bottle of scotch, man, and kill me. They'll ask the nurses, suffocate me. A doctor, kill me in my sleep. Give me a bottle of scotch and just kill me, man. You know? Ear blown off. Foot, they got trench foot, frostbite. They say, look, give me a bottle of scotch and kind of just, look, hey, kill me. I don't care. You know?
Hey, they say pick your poison. We know poison, that's something that'll kill you. Are you actually asking to die? Well, kinda, You drinking to get drunk, which can cause alcohol poisoning. So in a way, yeah, you picking your poison, right? So certain Jakes, they say it with that intention. Yeah, I want to actually pick my poison so I can give up the ghost, right? And they'll find any way to get alcohol, right? Like, so Gadites, a lot of them get alcohol through shampoo, sanitizer, anything else, right? To escape from this hellhole.
Right. And another point, Jake in prison, right? They be making all type of concoctions in their cell, man. Right? Because they just seen somebody get shanked, right? They ain't never coming home, right? They hearing somebody damn get raped next door. All hell breaking loose in prison, man. And that ain't a place you want to go. And what they do, they be selling it, right? One to another in the prison cells, right? Because Jake just want to escape mentally what they see. Because if you were seeing all of this type of stuff in jail, never seeing your kids, right? All hell breaking loose. You keep hearing them damn doors slam. A man telling you, okay, lights out. A grown man saying, okay, now it's time to go to sleep. Now it's time to eat. Now it's time to take a shower. Like you a damn dog, man. Right? You drinking your damn life away. Right? This is Iraq. And the answer what the brother was going into, right? Wine is supposed to make you merry. Supposed to make you glad, right? And when you drink, you forget your sorrows. Not that you get drunk so you can get numb as hell and lay down on the curb and say, yield up my ghost, right? It's the book of Sirach, chapter 31 and verse 27. Wine is as good as life to man if it be drunken moderately. I seen lots of brothers have 2 cups of wine, man, and still be cool, still have a good time, still enjoy the music. They not standing on top of the car, right? It say, what is life to a man that is without wine? For it was made, right, to make men merry. So like it, for it was made to make men glad. Wine measurably drunk in this season bringeth gladness of heart. Now, who am I to tell a brother he can't have 2 cups or 3 if it's measurably drunken, man? Right? The brother may have a high tolerance than the next brother, as long as you're not laid out, right, excessive, right, just out of it, right? But wine drunken with excessive make bitterness of mind and brawling and quarreling, right? Excessively drunken without no reason. Like we went to the book of Proverbs, the 31st chapter, right? Give them strong drink that's ready to perish, ready to die, ready to just lose it all. Drunkenness increaseth the rage of a fool to be offended. It diminisheth strength and maketh wounds. Rebuke not thy neighbor at the wine, and despise him not in his mirth. Give him not despiteful words, and press not upon him with urging him to drink. Hey, so the Lord said, don't push the cup to your brother, forcing him to drink. You're having a good time. Hey, brother, you only had 1 cup. That's called peer pressure, man. Right? The Lord not getting down with that.
Con. And I want to make a quick point, so like dealing with the prison situation. Hey, and they don't paint the prison light blue and yellow for a reason, man. And ask you, well, what's your favorite color? Do you want stripes, dots? You know, they put it gray for a reason, man. Now you look it up. It says now this is from the national. It's like it's from Health and Harvard, right? It says too much gray creates feelings of sadness and depression. Also evokes feelings of loneliness and isolation. You see that? So that gray put a spirit on you, huh? That's why you be in them prisons, the people putting their hand in the wall and throwing feces at the guard and, you know, acting the fool, man. They be depressed. Certain like you. So that's witchcraft because he knows certain colors they put a certain spirit on. Like when you look up how they advertise, like marketers when they advertise food, you will notice that a lot of these things are red and yellow, man. Like McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Wendy's, Burger King, they always use that red and yellow. Red and yellow is supposed to evoke and put a spirit in you to be hungry. They don't accidentally do these things. They kind of use that witchcraft to play on man's mind. You got it, Yardan.
Yeah, you already said it. Like that color will psychology. You know, they say if you wear blue to an interview, you know,
Right,
you're more likely to get.
your mic kind of going off, I think. You got it, Yardan.
They say if you wear blue to they say if you wear blue to an interview, you know, you're more than likely to get the job because that blue, you know, soothes the whole room. They put a spirit in the room, kind of make everybody relax. But if you wear red, you know, that can symbolize that, you know, you're kind of angry, you hostile, you intense, you know. And on another level, if a woman wear red, that kind of, you know, she's showing herself to be, you know, an adulterer. You know, she came out with a provocative type of, you know, spirit. So those colors got an effect on everybody.
And so like another point on that. But when you see yellow, well, you know, you think of like damn kids, right? You see pink, right? You think of a damn homosexual, right? Red, like the brother was bringing out. You think of a so-called harlot, right? Right, a whore, right? You see these different colors that bring out different moods in you, right? That's why the so-called white man, he made that whole symbol as the way try to jam all those colors together, take something that was righteous and make it wicked, right? And try to take something with them. And that's the power of colors too, man. He took something righteous and made it wicked. right? You got the colors on the right-hand side that the Lord used for righteousness for a covenant. And then he jammed it up with homosexuality, right? So-called Black Lives Matter, jammed it up with pedophilia, right? And he jammed all those colors on the left-hand side, man. You know?
All right.
And that's wicked, man. I go to another precept, right? A first Esdras is fire, man. Right? The third chapter. This first Esdras, chapter 3 and verse 18. And he said thus, O ye men, right? Excel in exceedingly strong wine. It causeth all men to err that drink it. He said cause all men to err that drink strong wine. You just going off. You just drinking it excessively. Everything should be drunk and moderate, right? If you lost your mother, right? All hell done broke loose, you done lost your job, you got to have you a little sip. If you just that brother that's just always got the bottle under the seat, he always known for the turn up, right? Hey, Jeffrey's here. Finally, the party, right? He's sitting there with the keg on his shoulders, right? It said, it maketh the mind of the king and of the fatherless child to be all one, right? And this is deeper in the spirit, right? Going into being drunk at these philosophies and doctrines of men. But on a mainfold level, it make you forget certain things, man. Right? Have you thinking you somewhere you not, right? Have you thinking you done jumped in the Uber, you done ran in somebody's damn back seat, right? For the poor man and the rich man, right? And the make of all them one at a mind. It turneth also every thought into jolly and mirth, so that the man remembereth neither sorrow nor death. So you don't want to get so drunk, right? And not using it righteously that you're forgetting all that's going on. You're not waking up for work, right? You being a bad father, you just going off, man. Right? So the whole point in the spirit when we branched off of this, that Noah had a righteous reason to drink.
Con. Yeah, your mic kind of going in and out too, King.
Okay, calm.
Yeah, it's kind of crackling.
Salaki.
All right. We back at it. Genesis chapter 9.
Genesis chapter 9, verse 22. We start at 21. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent.
Right.
And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his, like he told his two brethren without.
Right. And Noah, what does that mean? He saw his father naked, man. It don't mean he had sex with Noah's wife. A lot of brothers see that, man. All right. It means he saw his father naked. There's no telling how long he was looking at him naked. Right? He could have been there for an hour, 2
Biting
hours.
his lip, sweating.
Yeah, lip, squinting, walking around his father in a circle, on his stomach like this, all right, legs in the air. There's no telling, man. And he went to tell Japheth and Shem, like, hey, come look at Pop's naked, man. Come look at Dad, who had no clothes on. Come check this out, right? You wouldn't believe, but you would see. So let's see what happened.
Kind of got a smirk telling them. Verse 23.
Right.
And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon upon both their shoulders, and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness.
How come they didn't want to look at their father's nakedness? Because it would be a sin to look at your father's nakedness, right? Let's get that in Leviticus 18, all right? If you're looking at your father's nakedness, that would be a sin.
So Ham is a real weirdo for that. He's a freakazoid, he's a perv, a peeping Tom. That's one of the first accounts of the peeping Tom in the scriptures.
That's right.
And it was toward his own father.
That's right. And there's no telling.
Yeah, like I think I was about to just say what you was about to say. Go ahead, bring it up.
Well, I was going to say, there's no telling how long Ham might have been watching Noah.
That's what I was about to say. Calm.
Yeah, he could have been watching him take them shots and he took off one garment. Noah, Ham is still there. He took off another piece of clothing. Ham is still there. Right? he take off everything, had been there the whole time. You know,
Right.
kind of wait on this thing to go down.
Yeah.
All right. This Leviticus chapter 18 and 6. The nakedness of thy fox, none of you shall approach to any. You might have to mute your mic, King, to come back on. Kind of says, none of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother, thou shalt not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. You see that? Straight up. Don't look at your pops naked, man. You got families that are nudists, right? They may go to, you got nude beaches out in Spain and other parts of the world, you know, with your pops. And I seen this picture. You had an Edomite and his son, right? And they took a bath when they was young. You know, when your son may be a newborn, you know, a few weeks old, and you in the tub with them, and they had to relive that picture. They kind of relived it. And now the son is about 35, and the son is about, the father's about 60. And they wanted to relive that picture. So the son is naked with his father, man. One's 35, one's 60. And they in the tub, right? So you can't look at your father's nakedness, man.
Well, I was watching the SVU episode, and certain psychiatrists, they suggest and go as far as to encourage certain parents to see their kids naked, right? And kind of exhort them to be proud of their body and basically establish a good relationship between whether it be the mom or the father, or it's like the father and the daughter, the father and the son, or the mom and the daughter, or the mom and the son. They got episodes on that stuff. And they didn't make it up. It didn't come out of thin air. You know, a lot of those things are, they got it from somewhere, right? They got it from real life. And that's what these psychiatrists and psychologists suggest and encourage, everybody, the whole world. And we know it's not, far from fiction because, what happened in Greece and Rome, you can see everybody naked. It's kind of the norm. They worked out naked. You had the gymnasium. So if you went to the gymnasium with your pops, you saw your pops naked, and you talking about, hey, son, you look at him, and, you look back at you like everything's fine and dandy and normal,
That's right. Right. The brother said he dealt with his woman. He dealt with Noah's wife. Well, what happened was they took the garment and went backward and saw not the nakedness of their father. All right, so it's telling that he was literally naked. That's why they took a garment and didn't want to see their father naked and put it on him. All right. So we can go back to that.
It's Genesis chapter 9, verse 24. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him.
Right? Meaning he knew that his son was being a voyeur. All right? Staring at him.
And he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants, shall he be unto his brethren.
Right?
And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servants.
Right, what does it mean? How come the Lord didn't get on Ham? He got on Canaan because it was prophesied that Israel would inherit the promised land. All right? That they will inherit the promised land. And Canaan would eventually have to be driven out. All right? It says, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. Right? But then they would be they're the lowest nation on the earth. All right? With the exception of the Edomites, you got the Canaanites. All right? Let me go to Zechariah chapter 14. All right? Let's go to Zechariah chapter 14. All right? So Canaan was cursed, man. And that's an actual man. Canaan is an actual man. We talk about the land of Canaan, but it's named after that man. That was the land that the Lord gave him to be inherited by the Israelites. All right, let's go to the book of Zechariah, chapter 14.
And Salakia, Brother Jay brought out a good point. They still got bathhouses in China and Europe. And in bathhouses in certain spas, You in the same room with your sibling naked. You know, it'd be best friend, whoever. You still seeing somebody's nakedness. Them saunas, them men's locker rooms. You know, go to a men's locker room in LA Fitness or one of them high ranked gyms. You're gonna see old men walking around like it's Rome. I mean, because it is Rome 2.0, but you know, you're gonna feel like you was back in Rome, you know?
Yeah, yeah. This Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 21. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto the Lord of hosts. And all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them and seethe therein. And in that day there should be no more the Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts. Right? So the Canaanites, it's not going to be like in the time of Joshua, where they were still in the land, or David, they said, let's take down Jebusites. And Joab went up there and took it down, and still going to have parasites around. No, they're going to be out of there, man. All right? They're going to be cut down. So the Canaanites are created to be the slaves of the children of Israel. All right? So let's go back to that in Genesis 9.
Right. Genesis chapter 9, verse 27. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he
You read
shall
26?
dwell. Let me see. Like in verse 26. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall
Right.
enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell.
What does it mean, blessed be the Lord God of Shem? Now you finding out that the Lord has a chosen bloodline. If you didn't know by in Genesis 5, the Lord has a chosen bloodline. Right? His bloodline is going from Noah to Shem now. All right? It went from Lamech, or it went from Enoch to Methuselah to Lamech to Noah to Shem. All right? Now, Shem, he's the chosen. Now, when people talk about the Most High, they say, look, oh, that's the God of Shem. All right? How come he's not the God of Ham or the God of Japheth? Because that's the bloodline the Lord's dealing with, man. There's always a bloodline. All right, let me get this precept about Shem. All right, let's get this precept on Shem real quick. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 49 and 16. Sem and Seth were in great honor among men, and so was Adam above every living thing in the creation. See that? So Shem was in great honor. The Lord was dealing with Shem. He might have been seeing visions, dreams. Really don't tell you. Angels might appear before him. The Lord was working with him, man. You know? Right? So we can go on.
Verse 27 again, or verse 27. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servants.
And Canaan shall be his servant, Salaki. When he dwells in the tents of Shem, he's going to be under Shem's jurisdiction. All right, Shem is going to be running the show. Now, is that literally Japheth going to be dwelling inside a tent? Japheth got his own son, his families, but they all living under Shem's tent. No, it's really talking about the bloodline of Shem going to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the Israelites is going to have dominion and governance over the world, over the other nations. That's what it's speaking about in a more future bloodline, right? Because out of Shem came the bloodline with Nahor. Real quick, let's go to Genesis 31 and 53. Right? You had Nahor, you had Terah, you had Abraham, you know, or Abram, Isaac, Jacob. And this is how the birthright was passed down.
This is Genesis chapter 31, verse 53. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge betwixt us, and Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac.
See that? So the Most High said that he's the God of Nahor, right? So at one point in time, when people reference the Lord, instead of saying he's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they say, oh, that's the God of Nahor right there, the Most High. Who's Nahor? Abraham's grandfather. All right. So you got to know that bloodline too, because the Most High, he was the God of Noah, then the God of Shem, then he was the God of Arphaxad, then the God of Eber, Sarug, and all of these different men, all the way down to Nahor, man. Now he's the God of Jacob. You see that in the Bible. Or I am the God of Israel. All right. And Israel is an actual man, right? Before he was a people. Right? So let's go back to it.
It's Genesis chapter 9, verse 28. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. And all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died.
Right, 950 years and he died. I believe Noah was the second longest living man to be on the earth, if I'm not mistaken. 950 years. Right? So now we're in Genesis chapter 10.
Bear with me.
Right?
It's Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood.
Right. Now I want to make a quick point. When it said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, that never changed. Shem got to come back on the earth. Because the Lord don't change. The Lord is still going to be the God of Shem. So even in the regeneration, Shem came back as his sons. And as his sons, and he's always going to be the God of Shem. Right? Now it says in Genesis 10 and 1, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and it said them were sons born after the flood. And we can go on.
The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus.
Right, and then Ezekiel chapter 38, you hear brothers break down Gog and Magog being the so-called Russians, or that land and that the people, right? It is. They're the Edomites up in Russia. But originally, when you look it up, those are Japhetic lands. All right? Europe, before being inhabited by the so-called white man, right, was inhabited by Japhites, which are a dark race of people. Y'all, they try to pull up the Etruscans. Let's pull up the ancient Japhites. Right? These are your modern day Samoans, your modern day Hawaiians. All right. So we're gonna pull up some ancient Japhites. All right, and I wish I had my and their ancient names. You have Mycenaeans, Etruscans, Minoans. And they all lived up in that land of Greece, that land in Italy, and other parts of Europe at the time. Right?
It's loading.
Right? And for those that want to kind of get into it, right? For the Minoans, you can simply kind of dive into this on your own too. See that?
Yeah. And I gotta read that that's Etruscan terracotta relief found 600 BC.
Look like Rakishi.
Or Mark Henry.
Yeah. And those are the ancient Japhites, man. Right? Now when you look this up, the Minoans, right? It says lived on the island of Crete, the first Greek civilization. Right? Those are the Etruscans. See that? And they're dark-skinned people, man.
Yeah, I can find a queen.
Now Esau, right? Like I said, we did a if you type in on the Cold Cuts Table of Nations, we went more in depth into it, but we still want to touch the surface about these Japhites. A lot of people have questions of who the Japhites are, and we're giving you the modern or the terms that they were once called, right? They were Minoans, Mycenaeans, Etruscans, Lombards, the Umbri, right? These are the different names that they were given. All right.
This is an
Now,
Etruscan tomb
oh, go
painting.
ahead. See that? Right? Those look like those Hawaiians, man.
And they got the little, that hair texture they be having.
Yeah, the little things in their hair. All right. And like I said, for those that want to get deeper into it, you can just go on the Cold Cuts channel and you can get a little more about the Japhites. But now the modern day Japhites are your again your Hawaiians, your Samoans. You see that? See that? That's 400 BC, man. That's before the Greeks. You know, the Greeks went up there and kind of slew them, man. They took the dark race down. Even if you look up the ancient pottery of Greece, it was black people on it, man. But now Esau, he wanted to be the Greeks. Esau's a no people, right? They're supposed to be in Mount Seir, but now they're the Greeks. Now they're the Romans. They're the Italians. They're the Americans. They're the Jews. You know? They're all up in everybody's land.
And I want to bring out one more thing. This is and you might want to fact check this, but it says Rome had started annexing Etruscan cities. This led to the loss of the northern Etruscan province during the Roman.
Quick point: annexing is a fancy word for conquering, right? That's just a fancy word for conquering. You got it.
During the Roman Etruscan Wars, Etruria was conquered by Rome in the 3rd century BC.
You see that? See, the Romans came and took them down, man. And came up with that story about Remus, that myth of Remus and Romulus. Yeah, that they was born of a dire wolf, and it was born from a beast. I mean, they are beasts, but they had to create this mythological scenario, like how they discovered America. It's always Esau got some big tall tale how you take down the land, man. Yeah, we was looking for spices and gold, and we landed on America. We found these people in Columbus Day. And that's how he did Europe, man. You know? Yeah, we were founded by these two wolves. Right? And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna pull it up, right? Right? Let's pull it up, man. Let's get the history, man. Right? We diving into Japhet. Now, when you look up Remus and Romulus, it says in Roman mythology, Romulus and Remus are twin brothers whose story tells the event that led to the founding of the city of Rome and the Roman kingdom by Romulus. The story of Remus by his brother, along with other tales from this story, have inspired artists throughout the ages. And if you look up Remus and Romulus, yeah, like you pull it up, Baba Kashad, them sucking the wolf breast, right? They got nursed by a wolf, man. And that's how they say they conquered Europe. But the Bible tells you, you know, Alexander came out of the land of Chittim, right? And that's that southern Europe area where they conquered the Greeks, the original Greeks, right? You know? You see that? That's why Esau said he conquered Rome. This wolf gave birth, found these two Edomite babies, and then kind of took care of them. That Tarzan spirit.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Let me get
caught you in a tree spirit.
See that? Let me get this real quick, man. This is the book of 2 Peter, right? We go to 2 Peter, chapter 1 and 16. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables, when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty. You see that? You had a wolf called that wolf name that was taking care of them is the Capitoline wolf, or in the Italian Lupa Capitolina, right? The Capitoline wolf, man. All right, that's what Esau got going on. That's why he say he founded Europe. And that's the spirit. I was just going to pull that up about Haman the Agagite. It's called a Macedonian, right? That's in addition to Esther. Let's get that. Right? I was just going to pull that up, man. All right. Haman in the book of Esther is an ancient, goes back to Agag. Some men would say it goes back to Agag, which is an Amalekite. Right? Let's pull that up. Salaki, can the brother pull that up? My Bible or my apocrypha wet from yesterday. I'll pull it up online. See if I can get it online. I can't even go through the pages. Dealing in that rain. All right, bear with me. All right. All right, this is like I thought I had it. All right, this is from the editions of Esther. It says, after these things, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. All right, now, when it says he's an Agagite, and the Apocrypha tells you that he's a Macedonian, right? It tells you that he's a Macedonian. You got it?
You trying to say the chapter and the verse?
That was Esther 3:1, but I'm gonna go to the Apocrypha.
Okay, come on.
Right, bear with us. Right, we're gonna pull this up in the Apocrypha, so brothers can all be on one accord. All right, bear with us 1 second. All right, this is additions of Esther, chapter 12. This chapter 12 and 6. It says, howbeit Amon, the son of Amadeus, the Agagite, was in great honor with the king, sought to molest Mordecai and his people because of the two eunuchs and the kings. So he wanted to molest Mordecai. Right? Now that don't mean on a physical level. That just means, you know, on a harass. Right? Now this Esther, additions of Esther chapter 6 and 10. Now here's the other one. Additions of Esther chapter 6 and 10. For Amon, a Macedonian, Macedonian, right? A son of Amadatha, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, because Haman was an Edomite. Why do you think he hated the Mordecai so much? And far distant from our goodness, and as a stranger received of us. So he was that Greek, man. You know? That's before the Greeks came into power. So in the book of Daniel, the 11th chapter, you had Xerxes the first, who stirred up all the realm of the Grecians. All right? And that's when the Grecians, before the Grecians came and kind of, after the Grecians took down the Japhites. We can go back to Genesis chapter 10. All right? Genesis chapter 10. And where are we at?
Verse 3.
Con.
It's Genesis chapter 10, verse 3. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Rephath, and Togarmah.
Right.
And the sons of Javan, Elishash, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodam. It's like a Dodanim.
Right. And let me get this precept. Right. A lot of people say, well, what did Japhet do to us? Why do the Japhets have to go to slavery? Right? I never know what the Japhites did to the Israelites. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 27. Right? Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, the 27th chapter. All right. Now, Ezekiel chapter 27 is parallel with Revelation 18 as it describes the different trades that Tyrus and Zidon prospered in. Now, this is Ezekiel chapter 27 and 13. Right? Ezekiel chapter 27 and 13. Jabin or Javan, Tubal, and Meshach, they were thy merchants. They traded the persons of men and vessels of brass in thy market. So who is being traded in these slave markets? Who are the persons of men? The Israelites, right? The Israelites were the persons of men being traded by these Japhites, right? Right? Now you can also go to the book of Joel, right? Joel, the 3rd chapter, right? Let's go to Joel chapter 3. Another quick precept on that. All right. Joel chapter 3 and 6. Right? It's twofold. Joel chapter 3 and 6. It reads, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. Now we always on one fold break that down. We were sold by Africans to the so-called white man. But remember, the Most High is not a liar. You had actual men of Tyre. This is about Tyre and Zidon. You had actual men of Tyre and Zidon at that time who were selling our people to the Grecians, meaning to these Japhites. Now, when you look it up, and even in the history, it says, bear with me, the Greeks were trading with the Phoenicians as early as 800 BC. You see that? And that's before Alexander and them came into power. So you had Jabin, you had Meshach, and they were selling Israelites and they different slave markets. All right? Otherwise, that would make the Most High a liar. What the Most High said in Luke chapter 21, that we've been slaves under all nations. You know? So let's go back to that in Genesis chapter 10.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 5. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, and their nations.
Right? This is the when it says after his tongue, family, and nations, that's the criteria, or that's what's going to be used to separate different people. Right? You didn't have races and colors back then. White people, black people, right? Yellow people. There's the brown people. No, you had people that were separated by their tongue, family, and nation. Right? Race, the concept of having race is a new thing. Right? Race was created by the so-called white man, right, as a security mechanism to establish himself over other, people that wasn't in power. Now the Lord has the book of race and Sirach, but that word goes back to your seed or your bloodline. You got it, Yardan.
And the guy's name is Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. And he was an anthropologist and so-called anthropologist. And he's the one that declared and said, look, you got the white man, you got the Negroid. It's like you got the Caucasoid, the Negroid, the Asiatic, so on and so forth. Mongoloid. And he said, look, the Caucasoids, we're the one that are on top, and everybody descends from us.
That's right. Now, even dealing with the online etymology of the word race, right? So you got to kind of get into this thing. All right, you got to do the research. All right, it says people descended from a common ancestor, right? So white isn't a race, that's a color. When people say white race, they don't know what's going on. They don't know the etymology. They don't people just in America, they just throw words out there. Right? Black race, that's not a thing because black is not a common ancestor. White isn't your ancestor. Right? It says people descended from a common ancestor, class of persons allied by common ancestry. Right? From the Middle French, ras, earlier raza, meaning race, breed, lineage, or family. Right? It says Etymologists, which are people that study the origin of words, say it has no connection to the Latin roots, right? It's as though they admit this might have influenced the tribe and nation, right? So it really goes back to the word meaning your tribe or your nation, your lineage. So that Genesis chapter 10 and 5, when it says everyone was divided by his tongue, families, and nations, that's really your first account of race being mentioned in the Bible. You know? That's why in Sirach 26, let's get Sirach chapter 26, where the Lord said after his race, right? That's really mean after your family, right? With the same tongue, same nation. It's going to be magnified. It's not talking about color. You know? You got a lot of dark people.
Con, I bring it up.
Con.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 20. When thou hast gotten a fruitful possession through all thy field, sow it with thy own seed, trusting in the goodness of thy stock. So thy race, which thou leavest, shall be magnified, having the confidence of their good descent.
Right, your race being magnified, meaning somebody coming from your same family with the same tongue and same lineage, not the same skin color. All right? Not a word named after the so-called white man, the Chinese race. They're Moabites. They go back to Moab. Same tongue, family, and what is it? And nation. You know? So unless the brother has some, we can read that again, Bible Kashar, Genesis chapter 10 and 5.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 5. By these were the hours of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families and their nations.
And Salakia, even in the commentary, it says geographic, ethnic, and ethnos goes back to the Greek word nations. So it says geographic, ethnic, political, and linguistic terms, respectively. These several criteria were used to differentiate the various groups of people. You know? So Romans in the ancient times didn't call themselves the white people. All right? So we can go on.
So this is Genesis chapter 9, it's like chapter 10, excuse me, verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim and Phut and Canaan.
Right? And Cush are your so-called Ethiopians. Kawash in the Hebrew. Right? Now, when the so-called white man went into that continent of Ham, he actually called them people Ethiopians. All right, now Ethiopia or Ethiopian, let's go to Psalms 49 and 11. It's actually a Greek word for burnt face. All right, it's actually a Greek word for black face or burnt face. Right, because that's what happened when a so-called white man went in that land.
Is that the one where it says the tabernacles of Ham?
No, 49:11 is they call lands after their own names.
Oh, okay. So like I got a precept.
751.
That's 70. Yeah.
Now, while you're looking for that, this is the etymology of Ethiopia. It goes back to an Ethiop, right? It says Ethiop or Ethiopian from the Greek Ethiops. It says means sunburned, right? Sunburned, really black face, dark skin. That's what the word Ethiopia means, right? That's what the so-called white man calls them people. We're not going to call them Kawash. We're going to be God. We're going to name the nations now. We're going to put the classification of the nations. All right, you got it, Yardan.
Psalms 49 and 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their land after their own names.
See that? So when the Greeks came back into power, The so-called white man, they took down different nations and start switching up the names of the nations, right? But you'll meet Ethiopians. They'll say, "Look, I'm Cush." They'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And they'll admit that. We've seen that at camp.
Yeah.
They're one of the few nations that still have some stronghold on who they are.
Yeah.
Right? Even the Ishmaelites still say, "Yeah, we go back to Ishmael." You know. So we can go back to that. Cush, Mizraim, that's the original name of Egypt, marked to Zion, which means affliction or double straits, foot, and Canaan. All right, we can go on. Now,
Salaki.
oh, go ahead, got it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make one point, like the brother was bringing out, right? You got the so-called white man. He done named everything over again. From the beginning, that's what Adam did, man. He named all the creatures, right? And what did they do to aid? It's that reverse thing, man, right? And even in book of Genesis, we was going over, right? This is the book of Genesis, chapter 4, verse 17. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and buried Enoch, and he builded a city, right? And called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. So that's what they do. They conquer lands and they name it right after their children, right? They done switched everything up. They done put labels on different races. They said, look, I'm going to confuse the whole earth, right? I'm going to call this that. I'm going to call this landmass this and this nation that, man. And they trying to confuse everything so that there wouldn't be no order in the earth for you to identify what's going on. Like the brother said, man, we've been at camp before, right? And we asked a brother what's his nationality, and then here come a damn Cushite come out of nowhere. I'm from Cush, and he said proud. Damn near smoking on his chest, man, because he know where he come from, right? Even though they switched it up to Ethiopia, all these different variations, right, in countries in Africa, but they know who they are.
And it's going directly up with that. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 25 and 7. It reads, "And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people and the veil that is spread over all nations." So there's a covering over all the nations where nobody knows who they are. Everybody's in darkness, right? The so-called white man has switched up the names of every ancient biblical nation and made them what he wanted them to be. He divided the 12 tribes into different nations, right? Dominicans, Haitians, Cubans, right? Colombians, and we black people. See that? The Judites got it the worst. We just black or African American. All right, that is a joke. All right. So we can go back to that. The Lord gonna destroy that veil. He's gonna rip that veil back, and in the kingdom, we're gonna have to do that too. You're gonna have to teach the nations. Look, you're a Moabite. And they have to learn in the Hebrew, Mawa Abba. They're gonna have to pronounce that. If they get it wrong, you slap them on the hand or the back of the head.
Like a baby.
Yeah. Well, back in the early 1900s and 1800s, the so-called white man had assimilation schools. He would take Gad and had to force them to discontinue from the heritage that they had. They had to cut their hair, had to speak English, write in cursive. You know, we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have school buildings and temples and places where we have to bring the nations. We may sit them in an open field and we got to show them the Hebrew. Look, you're a Moabite. You know, look, you're an Ammonite. All right, this is how you say it in the Hebrew. This is what your name is. We have to name them and got to get everything back in order, man.
Esau said, "Kill the Indian, save the man." You know?
You see that? All right. So let's go back to, we back in Genesis. So when you're going through Genesis, really everything, you know, like we were saying, you got to look all this stuff up, man. You got to look up Cush. You got to look up what it means, who these people are, the land, where they're from, the origin, the etymology, the history. You got to dive into this thing. All right. So let's read Genesis chapter 10 and 6 again, Baba Kasha.
Genesis chapter 6, chapter 10, verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan. And the
Right?
sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabbathah, and Ramah, and Sabtekah. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan.
Right?
And Cush begat Nimrod.
That's when you have the Queen of Sheba, right? That's a so-called Ethiopian woman. They go back to the Cushites. All right? You can go on.
And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
Right?
He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord.
So this is like your first ruler on the earth. Your first tyrant or dictator, if you will, on the earth, man. You know, he rose up in power. Now, it's not going to be mentioned by detail. But, you know, this guy Nimrod, he had to have an influence on the people, man. Power, probably a strong military force behind him. You know, weapons. Doesn't mean he was a top hunter, meaning he could take down gazelles. And meaning he was a conqueror. All right? Esau's a hunter. Does that mean Esau, he just hunts down damn bears in the wintertime? Oh, he take down nations, man. Right? So let's go on. And I believe Nimrod in the Hebrew, his name means to rebel or the rebellious one, if I'm not mistaken. Right? So this man was kind of doing his own thing.
And his name is still being uttered throughout this earth, generations afterwards, in a negative way, which is why people say you Nimrod.
Right. Meaning you fool. People Nimrod, I'm in the blue letter, I have to validate it, but it says it means rebellion or the valiant. Yeah, I believe his name goes back to the word meaning to rebel. It says Nimrod, the son of Cush, the founder of the kingdom of Babylon. Right? And you'll read about that. You have the Neo-Babylonian Empire with Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuchadnezzar from around 626 to 539 BC. Neo-Babylonian meaning the new Babylonian Empire. This is the old Babylonian Empire that we're reading about in Genesis chapter 10. All right? So we back at it.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 10. At the beginning of his kingdom was it's like it was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar.
Right? Babel means confusion, right? So he built the Babel.
Verse 11. Out of that land went forth Ashur, and builded Nineveh, and the city Rehoboth, and Calah.
Right?
And Rezin beget, it's like between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city.
So now you have civilization kind of being grounded. You have kingdoms, you have great kingdoms, you have small kingdoms, you have rulers, you know. So we can go on.
Verse 13. And Mizraim begat Ludum, and Anamim, and Lehabim, and Nephitum, and Pathrusim, and Casluhim, out of whom came Philistim and Capfortum.
Right now, the Philistines, they go back to the sons of Egypt, the sons of the Egyptians. All right.
So those modern day Philistines, they're not the real Philistines, because they really, Edomites and a whole mix of other stuff.
When I said it wasn't Babylon and Iraq, but how are the Ethiopians? Because you had people, the Cushites, who went to the land of Shinar and built that land up. All right? That's all.
Verse 15. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth.
Let's read 14 again, Baba Kashah.
Verse 14. And Pathrusim and Caslium, out of whom came Philistim, and Caphotorum.
Now, when you look up Caphtorum, that goes back to the landmass of Crete. Now, Crete is off the northern coast of Ham, of Africa, right? So even at Crete, it was given to the land of to the Ham. They had that jurisdiction over that land. All right, and you had a lot of Hamites up in that island too, you know. But a lot of them, they came down and they dwelt in the land of Canaan. They came from Captorum to the land of Canaan. That's where you have Philistines in the land of Canaan, right? You had them in Ekron, Gath, right? What's another one of them cities and that they was fighting over, man? Them 5 cities, Ashdod, you know. So even in this times, a lot of nations, they began to migrate and go to other lands and build up kingdoms. All right, we can go on.
Verse 16. It's like verse 15. And Canaan begat Zidon his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgashite, and the Hivite.
Now the Jebusites, right? They were the original inhabitants of Jerusalem.
Yep.
All right. When David took down Jerusalem, you had Jebusites in that land. They said, unless thou come up and take away the blind in the lane, thou shalt not come in thither. All right. Those are the original people of Jerusalem, huh? Right. We can go to that in Chronicles. Right. That's First Chronicles chapter. What is that?
I got it in 2 Samuel.
Oh, you got it in 2 Samuel. All right.
It's 2 Samuel chapter 5 and verse 6. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, which spake unto David, saying, except thou take away the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither, thinking David cannot come in hither. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion, the same is the city of David.
And here's the parallel account in First Chronicles chapter 11 and 4, right? It reads, and David and all Israel went to Jerusalem, which is Jebus. So Jebus is the original name of Jerusalem. When we took it over, we called this the city of peace. It wasn't always called that, right? Even before it was Jebus, what did the Lord call it in Genesis chapter 14? Shalom, or Salem, which is peace. Remember Melchizedek, he was the king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, right? It says, Salakia, First Chronicles 11 and 4, and David and all Israel went to Jerusalem, which is Jebus, where the Jebusites were, the inhabitants of the land. And the inhabitants of Jebus said to David, thou shalt not come hither. Salakia, nevertheless, David took the castle of Zion, which is the city of David. And David said, whosoever smiteth the Jebusites first shall be chief and captain. So Joab, the son of Zeruiah, went first up and was chief. And David dwelt in the castle. So we had castles way before the medieval ages, man. Right? Therefore, they called it the city of David. Verse 9. So David waxed greater and greater, and the Lord of hosts was with him. See that? All right. So you had Jebus, which was one of the sons of Canaan. All right. So let's go back to that in Genesis chapter 10. All right, Genesis chapter 10 and 16.
You said you want to start at 16 to 15. I didn't hear you.
16.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 16. And the Jebusites and the Amorite and the Girgashite and the Hivite and the Archite and the Sinite and the Arvadite and the Zemarite and the Hamathite, and afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad.
Yeah, every nation, they migrated, and they went to different lands, right?
And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon as thou comest to Gerar and to Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah and Zeboim, even unto Lasha.
Right.
These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations.
Right.
Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born.
Right. And Eber is where you get the word Hebrew from. Ibar or Ibar Yach, right? It's the where you get the word Hebrew from. So everybody that came from Eber, they kept that same son of God mentality of serving the Lord. You know? You can go on.
The children of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram.
Right? So even the East Indians are Semites, you know? And he had these
The
5 sons, but he had a chosen son, which is Arphaxad. Right? You can go on.
and the children of Aram, Uz, and Hul, and Gether, and Mash.
Right?
And Arphaxad begat Salah, and Salat begat Eber. And unto Eber were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother was Joktan.
All right, what does it mean in his days the earth was divided? We'll read that in Genesis 11, where the Lord divided the nations. That happened in the days of Peleg. Peleg in the Hebrew is Pelag, I believe, which means division. Because Eber kind of knew, look, in the days of this son, it's going to go down. Everybody's going to be confounded with these different languages. So he said, I'm gonna name my son Division. You know, he kind of prophesied that.
And Joktan begat Almodad, and Sheleth, and Hazarmarapheth, and Jerah, and Hadoram, and Uzal, and Diklah, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab, Ali. These were the sons of Joktan.
And
And
Ophir
their
is where we get gold from. So Ophir, he was in the hot spot of gold, right? Where Ophir's land was, you read about the gold of Ophir, he kind of had dominion over the natural resources in that area. That was the source of Solomon's gold, right? When you read 1 Kings, the 10th chapter. Right, we can go on.
and their dwelling was from Mishah, as thou goest unto Shafar, a mount of the east. Sluggy.
Pulling up something.
No, I was just writing something down. Jake should want to know, where this is and that is. Kind of, look back for it.
Right.
Verse 31.
There is documented that nobody knows where Ophir is.
Yep, I heard of that.
Yeah,
Yep.
you got people looking for it to this day. Where's that Ophir? Right? Well, you can't find it, man. Esau might know. He might know. Because he done switched up all of the different lands. Right? But you, Jake, don't even try it. Right? Jake, type in Ophir near me on
Jake
your
not
phone.
even thinking about that.
You said what?
Said Jake, Jake not even thinking about that.
Yeah, Jake not thinking about Ophir.
Trying to figure out where the next liquor store is.
They're thinking about hard rock cocaine, crack.
Dang.
A whore. That's what they're thinking about.
Keisha. Is Keisha bringing Tammy over or not? Because he don't want to go by himself. But if he do go, he want Rel to go with him. So Rel could talk to Tammy.
Right. Does he got the rubbers?
You said what? You said what?
Nah, that's the talk, man.
Yeah. All right. So that's madness, man. All right. So we can go on. All right.
These are the sons of Shem after their.
A lot of Jakes, while we doing a live stream, they thinking about church. That just passed, man, yesterday. Yeah, church was good. Pastor brought it out. They don't know what's going on. We going into the breakdowns. The spirit guys going deep into it, and they talking about pastor. What pastor said that they might get a car, and they thinking about that all day. Pastor did say I'm gonna get a car. You know,
Or,
they don't know what's going on.
or getting the church AC. You know how they got that little thermometer? We reached this limit. They think about that AC that the church gonna get, or a refrigerator. A refrigerator in the church.
Yeah, you got women, they meditating on a prayer circle. What I'm gonna say, it's my week to lead the women's prayer service. They writing the prayer down, calling the other sisters, you know, Sister Shirley, look, should I do it or not? And she, go for it, sister. Believe in the Lord. So they mind not right, man. A lot of our people, they got to get out of that. All right? And let's get into these scriptures. All right, so we back at it.
Verse 31. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues and their lands, and Slakia, after their nations.
Right?
These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations and their nations, and by these were the nations divided, and the earth after the flood.
So everybody received a portion of land. Like when you read the book of Joshua, I believe like from 15 on down, right, to about 23, you read about different tribes that were receiving different lands. So each tribe or each family received the land. That's why it says this: how the earth was divided after their families and their generations. To the family of Ophir, Shem gave them a portion of land, right? The family of Eber, they received this land, right? Just like Israel, just like our lands were allotted to us by tribe, right? It was done like that in the ancient times. Each family received a portion of land from their fathers in that region. Ham gave, look, you're going to get that son. You know what I mean? You're going to get this land. Martazam, you're going to get this land. And they had to set up the boundaries of that land and put landmarks there too, right? The law of landmarks goes back to Genesis, man. Because how would each family know where their land began and stopped? You know? So and Nimrod, we're going to read about Nimrod as we read on, right? So let's go back to that in Genesis chapter 11. Lucky, bear with me 1 second. Right? Bear with me. You know, I should have pulled up the Bible dictionary. Right? This Proverbs chapter 22 and 28 real quick. Right? Proverbs chapter 22 and 28. Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set. Right? So our fathers had ancient landmarks. All right? Ashur had his land. It was divided from Arphaxad. Arphaxad land was divided by Elam by ancient landmarks, whether that was stones or whatever they wanted to use to divide the lands. And if you remove the landmark, then that would be a sin, right? Like, let me read on. Proverbs chapter 22 and 28, right? It reads, remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set. All right. Like, and I want another one too. All right, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 23 and 10. Proverbs 23 and 10. Remove not the own landmark and enter not into the fields of the fatherless. Meaning, don't take over the land of the Israelites. For their Redeemer is mighty, he shall plead their cause with thee. And our Redeemer is Yahweh Shah. So if you enter into our landmarks, our land, our Redeemer is mighty. He's going to restore that land to us at Jubilee, on a spiritual Jubilee, which is the spiritual restoration of each land, you know? So we back at it. Genesis 11 and 1.
I got a precept.
Con, you got it.
Job 24 and 2. Some remove the landmarks, they violently take away flocks and feed thereof. They drive away the ass of the fatherless, they take the widow's ox for a pledge. And that goes into Esau, right? You say, look, give me this, and I give you this, right? But they don't give you anything back. They just take and take and take and take. And removing that landmark, that's pretty much stealing, right? You're saying something's yours, but not really. Or it's like you're saying something is yours now. You know, you can remove a landmark and kind of set it back. You know, you can do some, some wickedness.
Right. Like a landmark pretty much now is your modern day fence, or your modern day. You may see certain when people buy acres of land, they'll have these little sticks come out with orange tape, and the orange tape kind of in the wind, and they that's used to determine what a landmark is. Now this from the 1611 dictionary for landmark, a mark to designate the boundary of land, any mark or fixed object, as a marked tree, a stone, a ditch, or a heap of stones, by which the limits of a farm, a town, or other portion of territory may be known and preserved. Right? So you have to, and that was kind of used for navigation too, because you might have told a brother where your dwelling place was. You told him look out for these. Even when you give directions now, somebody may say, "Look, show me a landmark," or "Look, it's past this building, J.C. Penney's, or it's by the Applebee's," and they're looking for these landmarks to even help man navigate, man. So you'll be off if you removing landmarks, because not only is that the boundary, but that's used for man and his travels. You may have had a Jake that was sojourning for the Passover who need to know certain landmarks, and you removing them, brothers getting lost, and all hell breaking loose, man. So you have
It's
to kind of, if you
confusion.
was doing that, you kind of have to know that, look, you was going the hell off. All right? So we can go back to, unless you have something else, we go back to Genesis.
It's
All right.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech.
And that's Hebrew. Everybody spoke Hebrew. Right? Let's read that again, Baba Kasha.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech.
Right. Now, let's go to Genesis.
You said what?
Let's go to Genesis, the second chapter, when Adam named the animals. Right? The chosen Adam. Genesis chapter 2. And let's read verse 20, verse 19, Salakia.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 19. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
Right, go on.
And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to all, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an help meet for him.
Right, now, certain animals that he named, including cattle, he named the sheep. I believe sheep, or it's like I believe cattle is
A
a
lot.
lot. The camel is gamal. Like when you go through the Hebrew letters or characters, it's Abba, Gada, Hawa, Zaka, Taya, Kalamana, Sa, I, Pa, Tazaka, Rashata. Now the A is the Alaf, which goes back to the cattle, right? And the Ga is Gamal, which goes back to camel, right? And that was the original name of certain animals. They still hold on to them Hebrew names. Like in Acts chapter 5, 36 through 39, you have Gamaliel. In the book of Acts, Gamaliel in the Hebrew is Gamala Allah, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which means the camel of God, right? So every even creature, they were named in the Hebrew tongue. But the so-called white man trying to be the Most High is going to give these men Latin binomial names, right? Canis ferocious. I'm making that up, but these are the names he given. Let me see if I can find. I'm gonna see if I can get the scientific name for the camel now. Right? Let's see if we can pull this up. Right? So this man, he want to be the Most High, man. And it's not just him painting the image of the Lord as a white man. It's on every level. All right. So they just call the camel. It's from the family Camelidae and Camelus. Right? Or it's called Camelus dromedarius. Is that what the Lord called it? Did Adam call a camel? Did he speak Latin? Camelus dromedarius? No, he called it Gamar. Straight to the point. Right? But these devils, man, they want to turn names around of different people and name them other people and name lands other names and just turn everything upside down. Call you a black man, switch the names of the animals. So they got a lot to pay for. Let me go to Isaiah 29:16 real quick. Right? Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 29:16. It reads, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work, saith him that made he made me not. Or shall the thing framed, saith him that framed it, he had no understanding. Now that point I wanted, it says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. Because the so-called white man turned literally everything upside down. All right, everything is turned upside down. Everything is backwards. The new moon, the damn, what is it? The New Year, the Sabbath, right? Everything. You had some, y'all done?
They said night is 12 o'clock p.m.
Yep. You know,
That's what starts a new day, 12 o'clock.
It's madness, man. All right. So let's go back. We're back in Genesis. And they all spoke Hebrew. Even in Acts chapter 26:14, Paul heard Yahweh Shah speaking to him in the Hebrew tongue. All right.
And it came to pass.
You got to call it out, Bible Shah.
Oh, just Genesis 11 and 1 again. The whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there.
Right, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and dwelt there. Now remember, real quick, go back to Genesis chapter 10 and read verse 20.
This is Genesis chapter 10, verse 20. And it reads this. These are the sons of Ham.
Salaki.
This is Genesis chapter 10, verse 20. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations.
Right, so what it's saying is, like we went into, remember, each tribe of Israel was given an allotted land. Right? Judah had this boundary, right? Ephraim had this boundary. The sons of Ham had a boundary. Ham said, look, Canaan, you're going to get this land. Baltazar, you're going to get this land. Look, Noah told me to tell you going to get this land. Now, what did the sons of Cush do? Right? They went up and rooted out their land, and it says they went and found the land. Well, the land was already given to each people. Right? Let's read that again. Genesis 11 and 2.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 2. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that
so
they
they
found
left their land the Lord gave them. Right?
And they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there.
Now, Shinar is where the modern day Iraq is. That was given to the sons of Shem. So they kind of rolling up in Shem's land. Right? So rather there was a war or a battle going on and how they got that land, that's not really in there. Right? But we do know he's rolling. Nimrod is rolling with an army. All right? He's a mighty hunter. We can go on.
And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar.
Right?
And they, verse 4, and they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach into heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
All right, so they said, let's make a monument for man. All right, this is a new tower we're going to build for mankind. All right, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 10th chapter, real quick. All right, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. Let's read about, and this was actually a conspiracy, right? A crafty counsel. All right, let me read this real quick. This Wisdom of Solomon, I'm going to read the 10th chapter, and I'm going to read verse 5. All right, this Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and 5. It reads, moreover, the nations and their wicked conspiracy being confounded, she found out the righteous and preserved him blameless unto the Most High, and kept him strong against his tender compassion toward his son. So the nations in their wicked conspiracy was the nations coming together in a joint effort to come up against the Lord, man, to rebel against the Lord. All right. Now, I believe when you go to certain history, too, that they wanted that Tower of Babel to go fight against the Most High. They wanted to go fight. They wanted to get to the top where the Lord was, and Nimrod could throw the Lord off the throne, and he could sit there himself.
Kind of do this to him.
Yeah, go up there and kind of buckle up with the Lord and knuckle up with the Lord, man.
Wicked.
Yeah, and that's proud. You're going to build the Lord sitting there, look at him, building a tower to try to come up there and fight against me. Now, for the United Nations, their symbol or emblem now is a Tower of Babel. All right? When you look into it, the United Nations, right? The thing now is they have a flag, it's the Tower of Babel. All right? You pulling that up, y'all down? All right, we're going to pull that up. All right? Did they do that by accident? No, they want that new world order, that one world government. They want that one world order, one currency, one worship, one thought, one way of life, right? One morals. They want one of everything, and they want to rule it. All right? And that's how our Babel spirit's coming back to the earth. See that they actually built their building like the Tower of Babel. Did they slip up and do that, or we forgot to build the other half? No. They know what's going on, man. You can go see that building to this day.
And Salaki, you see how they like left it looking like it's fake half at the top. That's like the brothers going into they exactly designed it like that, man. You know, Esau and this structure, they be having things to a T with their building, what they call them, architects and things like that. They wouldn't have left the top looking like that, man.
Right. They got plans, man, because what are they going to do? They're going to fight against the Lord. Let me get that in Revelation chapter 17 real quick.
All right, I got a precept after you.
Con.
Revelation. Oh, you got it.
Let me bring this out real quick. It's Revelation chapter 17 and 12, right? Revelation 17 and 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings 1 hour with the beast, right? That beast being Babylon the Great. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. And in Babylon, they're going to call the shots. They the forefront of these European Union meetings, NATO, United Nations meetings, right? Verse 14, here's the point. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. See that? Shalom to the brothers out with Sakar, right? But the point is, hey, the Lord said that they want to make war against the Lord, man. That was now. It's going to be. It was then. You got it, King.
And what does that EU mean? That goes back to European Union. It's a union from all the European countries, right, coming together, right, concocting a plan. You got BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, one of those other countries. You got a lot of countries, China,
South Africa,
and South Africa, right? All these countries try to come together one way, shape, form, or another, right, to unionize.
Khan, it's the book of Revelation, chapter 19, right? And I'm going to start at 19. I'm going to start at 18. That you may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free, bond, both small and great. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. So everything is from old, like we bringing up. We got the old Babylon, you got the new Babylon, man. You got the nations trying to rise up there and get to the Lord to make war with him in the ancient world. And when he come back, they're doing the same thing. We read about that in the book of Ezekiel 28. He sit like he is the Most High God, man. Right? Second Thessalonians, the second chapter. It ain't nothing new under the sun. And these nations are being reborn right through the Spirit and coming back on the earth. Tyre, Zidon, ancient Babylon, the Greeks, the Romans, all of these things are coming back more and more into the end, man. Because it was already prophesied from old. Hey, did not the Lord say that he going to make war with Amalek to generation, right? Hey, the Lord has enemies, man, right?
God. Straight up. And they know that. These nations know that, man. All right. And towers are often used like for military purposes too, man. For strategy. All right. So when they have this Tower of Babel being built, not only is it an idol for mankind, but it's also going to be used as what's the word I'm looking for? A medium to get up and fight against the Lord, man. Right? To get up there and fight against Yahweh Bashim Shah. Right? And that's what this thing is about, man. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 11. Because remember, real quick, let me go to the book of Micah. Salakia. Let me get this other precept dealing with Nimrod. Let's go to the book of Micah, the 5th chapter. Right? What did the Lord call the dwelling place and a power seat of the so-called white man? He called this place the land of Nimrod. All right, let's go to the book of Micah. All right, out the Old Testament. Micah chapter, I believe I want 5. All right. This is the book of Micah, chapter 5 and verse, I'll start at 5. Right? Micah chapter 5 and 5. And it reads, and this man, like that man, and this man shall be the peace when the Assyrian shall come into our land, and when he shall tread in our palaces, meaning when a so-called white man try to subdue us and take us down. He's the spiritual Assyrian, meaning a man of power, a man of might, right? Then shall we raise against them 7 shepherds and 8 principal men. Meaning we're going to have the Yahweh Shah, the angels, the chariots, right? You're going to have the 144,000, right? It says, and they shall waste the land of Assyria with the sword and the land of Nimrod. See that? And the land of Nimrod and the entrances thereof. So who's the new ruler? Nimrod. Right? The king of Babylon is back on the earth. Isaiah chapter 14 speaks about the king of Babylon. Micah chapter 5 call him Nimrod. Right? And that's where they have this same power structure, that same Tower of Babel for the United Nations, that same wrath and rage against the Lord, man. Right? Don't you know Nimrod in mythology ascended up to heaven, right? And his mother called everybody to worship him, and he kind of came back as a baby, or Tammuz, or it goes back to Tammuz, and I can't think the exact name, right? Brothers know what I'm trying to say. They'll put it in there, right? Also, that goes back to that Mother Mary and that baby Jesus spirit, man. That's Nimrod all over again. I believe it's Ceramis and Tammuz, right? That goes back to that Mother Mary and Jesus, that Nimrod spirit. Right? So we can go back to it, King.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 4. Slacky. And it reads this. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the whole face of the earth.
Right?
And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded.
What does it mean the Lord came down? Did the Most High get off his throne and say, well, what the hell is going on the earth? Let me get off my throne and check out what's going on. What the heck? And the Lord squinting. And Michael, check this out. And Michael come over and they trying to checking it out. No, that's not what that means. The Lord came down. You got it.
And like they do in them movies and TV shows, they got the Most High in a chair and he looking at the globe like this.
Right.
Kind of rotating around. You know, like he's not going to get off his throne. The same way, you know, even in the world, you know, your father, he's not going to get off his chair. He kind of just yell at you. Hey, what you doing? Or he'll get somebody else to get you.
I got a precept. The book of Proverbs, chapter 15 and verse 3. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. So the eyes of the Lord are the angels, and they in every place. Like the angels in your room, like the angels at work, like the angels on the highways and byways. And the angels are everywhere recording everything. Right? I'm going to link that up with Zechariah 3, right? And I'm going to start at 8. Hear now, O Joshua, high priest, thou and thy fellows that sit before thee, for they are men wounded for behold, I bring forth my servant the branch. Right? Talking about Yahweh. For behold, the stone that I have laid before Joshua, upon one stone should be 7 eyes. Behold, I will engrave the engraving thereof, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will remove the iniquity of the land in one day. What does that mean, 7 eyes, man? Let's link that up with Revelations, the 5th chapter. Because the eyes of the Lord are everywhere. We just read about that in Proverbs, right? It's the book of Revelation, chapter 5 and verse 6. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb, and as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all the earth. It says sent forth, man. And when you know the angels are sent forth. The angels come before the Lord, get the decree, and then they get sent forth, right, to do evil, mischief, save, right, war, whatever the Lord had put in the decree for the angels to do, which are the eyes.
That's right. This chapter 9 and 8. It reads, behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, said the Lord. So that's talking about Babylon. There's angels watching the works of Babylon, like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? When we get to Genesis 19, you read about angels that was going to and fro through Sodom. Did Sodom know? Did the Sodomites know? No, right? So there's angels going to and fro through this place right now. You may see them, they may look like a news reporter, or they may be, a bank teller, or you might bump into him at the train station, kind of look back and mean mug him, and, he kind of that could have been an angel, man, right? Recording the works of Sodom and Gomorrah, and they're going to bring it back up to the Most High, right? And that's what happened in Genesis. The angels, they go down, and they observe and see what's going on, and take note, and bring that report back to the Lord, Right? So you have something else? All right, let's go back to Genesis.
Genesis chapter 2. It's like in 11, verse 5 again. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
Right, meaning man is going to kind of do it. Man is going to not really want to exercise the kingdom of the Lord. Their thoughts are going to be about the Most High, right? The kingdom of man is going to be what it is today. This right now, this is the kingdom of man, right? You see what man is about: homosexuality, idolatry, wickedness. A man that they making robots, they cloning people, right? Because man now, although they were divided at this point, they kind of came back together. right? You got language interpreters and people, you Chinese, you back with the white man. Everybody's back into this thing again. And you see what happens when man comes back together, right? They living out all their imaginations, man. Like I said, they cloning people, harvesting organs. This is the product of man coming back. This is what the Lord didn't want to happen to begin with. That's why Genesis, the 10th chapter, say, look, hey, everybody's supposed to be divided. Look, this family divided after their nation. This one divided after their family. Now they want to come together. Nimrod and put his spirit on the earth and call and making a new world order. And the Lord not dealing with these new world orders. You got it.
You know, when people who specialize in having farms and cattle, do you mix your sheep with your pigs?
Right.
Do you mix your horses with your cows? Do you put those ox in the same room with chickens? It's all confusion. It can't be that way. Even when you look at the Sea World, every fish is in their own family, right? And even to a certain point, they have their own spot in the ocean.
Yep.
They kind of reside there. You know, it might go only this far. You know, so how much more man, right? We all supposed to have our own respective land, you know, spot, chill amongst our own people. The Lord never intended for us to intermingle, right? The way that we're doing now.
Khan, this Sirach chapter 13 and 15. Every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor. All flesh consorteth according to his kind, and a man will cleave to his like. So, like Yaradon is saying, you don't see wolves hanging around lions, right? Even a so-called white man, he'll break it down like you have your own ecosystem, and you know you have your own biome where man dwells at, or these animals have their own region, right? And that's for their safety and for their for their prosperity, man. Right? It'd be confusion if everything was just all jumbled up. The Lord not dealing with this gumbo spirit, melting pot, man. This real quick. This Habakkuk chapter 2 and 5. Right? Habakkuk chapter 2 and 5. And it reads, yea, also, because he transgressed by wine. Now, this is talking about Esau, but this now we're talking about Nimrod. Right? Because we're in the land of Nimrod. We read that in Micah. He transgressed by wine. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. You don't think Nimrod had an original dwelling place where Cush's grandfather set him up at? He said, no, I'm doing my own thing. Right? It says, who enlargeth his desire as hell, meaning he wants to consume and consume and consume like the grave consumes and consumes. And is as death and cannot be satisfied. Because you can't satisfy the grave. Can the grave say, whew, I got one more dead body left. I'm full. I don't need no more. No, the grave don't give a damn. That's how Esau is. Right? It says, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. See that? So they gather every. It's the melting pot. I got one more slide. One more quick precept. One more. This is the book of Jeremiah. Right? It's the melting pot. Right? Jeremiah chapter 1 and 13. And the word of the Lord came unto me the second time, saying, what seest thou? And I said, I see a seething pot, right, melting pot, and the face thereof is toward the north. It's just the north country. It's that melting pot spirit. You know? You got it.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 30 and verse 15. Like going on what your brother said, man, like hell don't never have enough. Right? These nations don't never have enough of damn raping, robbing, and murdering, and conquering, and pillaging, man. Right? It say the horse leech have two daughters crying, give, give. Right? And the horse leech is like a little sucking leech. Right? All they do is devour, they suck the blood, right? Saying, give, give. There are three things that are never satisfied. Yeah, four things say not, it is enough. The grave, the barren womb, the earth that is not filled with water, and the fire that saith, it is not enough, right? And that's how Esau is, man, right? He says not enough. He says not enough for damn lands being conquered, nations, right, being a subject under him, right? Gold, all the wealth of this society, man, taking all of the oil. He don't never get enough, man, right? He like hell, man, right? Did not the Lord say in Isaiah, right? Let me get this real fast. right?
Bring it
The book
out.
of Isaiah, chapter 5 and verse 13. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitudes dried up with thirst. Therefore, hell hath enlarged herself, right? Meaning what? Captivity. Who's the main person that puts people captive, man? And it's called hell when you link that up in Isaiah 5 and 13 on down, man. Esau, right? And like the brother is going into, like all of these nations, these men on the left hand side and their might are being regenerated back on the earth with these same spirits, these same lots, these same conquerors, right? These same demons, man. Therefore, hell have enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure, right? And their glory and their multitude and their pomp, right? Pompousness, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it, man. Who's descending into this melting pot? This big old dark hole, man, of all of these different nations, philosophies, right, and all of these manner of doctrines, man. The so-called white man.
Con. This Jeremiah chapter 50 and 37. Just link up with that. Jeremiah chapter 50 and 37. A sword is upon their horses and upon their chariots and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her. And they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. The Lord will rob all the mingled people. It's his people in his melting pot. Right here in Babylon, you got the Chinese man, the Ethiopian man, the African man, the Israelite man, the so-called white man. Everybody's in this thing, man. Right? So this is the mingled people. All right, bear with me. Let me get y'all back in this.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 18 and verse 3. For all nations have drunk the wine of her wrath, of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication. And Salakia with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive none of her plagues. So come out of these doctrines, man, these philosophies, these ways of living, man, because there's nothing here that's ever going to be for you, man. It's a dry and thirsty land.
That's right. That's right. Good point. All right. So we back in the book of Genesis. All right. Get this chapter done away with.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 7. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech.
Right.
Verse 8. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the earth, of all the earth, and they left off to build the city.
And there's no account how he scattered these people. Right? There's no account. You just gotta, take a rough. You said what?
Gotta extrapolate.
Yeah. There's no detailed account how the Lord divided all these people. All right. So we
don't
can
start
go on.
adding stuff in that ain't there.
Yeah, don't say the chariot took them all up and put some over here and put some over here, or a hurricane and whatever. All right. So we back on.
Verse 9, therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
That's right, and that's why this is called Babylon the Great, right? The great confusion, the greatest confusion, the same thing as ancient Babylon and the Neo-Babylon. This is the third and final Babylon. With that, that's the Monday Night Fire. Right, brothers, any last closing precepts?
Khan, I got one.
Khan.
Look at the classic, right? It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 3. And it reads, remember therefore how thou hast received and heard. And the Lord always say to remember. I remember the days of old, right? Remember the law, statutes, and commandments, man. Remember what you have seen, what you have heard, right? Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast. So you got to hold fast. If you got to, replay this video back, man, right? and get some notes. Get it down, right? Remember how the Lord raised you out of the dust, man. Remember how you used to be a nigga in the world, and now you're righteous, man. Now you putting on that new garment. Now you putting on that new understanding. Remember everything that you did, because if you don't, man, you can get sifted out in this world. You start glancing out that window, you start seeing these bright lights, man. You're not remembering, right, what's important in these law, statutes, and commandments, or hell could break loose, right? And hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come to thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what power I come upon you. So if you're not watching, staying diligent, being on fire, and sincerely understanding that you can get sifted out any moment, nobody's safe, right? You're going, the world's gonna sift you out really slowly, man. That's why the Lord said always to watch and remember. You know?
It's
Right.
Ezekiel chapter 43, verse 10. Thou son of man, shew the house to the house of Israel, that they may be ashamed of their iniquity, and let them measure the pattern. Right? So Israel has to be ashamed of their iniquities and where they go off, right? Because that shame should actually bring you close to the Heavenly Father, right? And when you feel ashamed, you should actually feel remorseful, right? You should have that type of mentality when it comes to being in the truth, right? So the Lord can have favor upon you, right? Have mercy upon you. You know, we always tell Eve they got to be shamefast. Well, brothers, you too, in the eyes of the Lord, right? You got to be humble and you really got to be sincere in this thing. If you're not moving in sincerity, what are you doing in this? Why are you here? All right.
That's right. This Revelation chapter 22 and 12. And behold, I come quickly, right? This written in red, Yahweh Shah speaking. And my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. So, that's plain, right? Whatever work you do in this truth, whether it's charity, rather it's studying, rather you doing the work of the Lord, rather you raising your household or getting your house in order, taking care of your wife, or teaching your children the laws, or going in the highways and byways and fasting, whatever work you do, the Most High is going to honor that and reward you for that, man. Now, if you're not doing that, He's going to dishonor that, man. If you're not doing the work of the Lord, your reward is going to be horrible, man. Right? And the Lord rewards people with death, man. The Lord rewards people with vengeance. The Lord rewards people by giving them reprobate minds, sifting them out, like the brothers say, right? Bugging out, seeing stuff in the scriptures that's not there. Whatever work you put out, that's what you're going to get, man. All right? So, brothers, make sure that you constantly have your loins girded about and your lights burning, man. Right? We're going to take questions. Right? Brothers and sisters can call in if they have questions. Right? I'll post, if I can post this in there, bear with me. The number to call in is 213-603-9096. Right, again, that number to call in for the conference call for those that do have questions. Right, we'll take 70 minutes of questions. That's 213-603-9096. And the PIN number is 94-809-305. You should see it on a comment board, right? 213-603-9096. And the PIN number is 94-809-305. Brothers, got any last words?
Stay on fire.
God, stay on fire. Read tonight, Israel. You're not doing nothing else. Just read. Read a chapter. All right. Read as much as you can.
That's right. Brother Naquan.
Brother Yardan.
Shalom.